I'm sure all of you, probably within the last week, have heard someone complain about Ohio weather. You've probably even heard this complaint so many times that it's getting just a little bit annoying. But there are also other times where we've had problems that were easily solved. Like maybe the room was just really cold and you could have fixed it easily, but you didn't feel like you had the authority to change the thermostat. Or maybe you had a headache one day and the neighborhood children were playing right outside your window. You could have asked them politely and they probably would have moved somewhere else or played a little bit more quietly. But we are sometimes scared of asking people to change something really simple or complain in any way. Speaking up is healthy and it can benefit everyone involved. But when is it just whining? The four-way test is the perfect standard for judging when you should complain and when you should just endure it. First of all, is it the truth? I mean, this seems like a pretty obvious application, right? A lot of the organizations that involve both children and adults, like Girl Scouts, have made rules now to ensure that children and adults aren't in the same room alone together. And that's to protect the adult from accusations as much as it is to help the kids. But then there's a less obvious application, exaggeration, and that can be just as bad. Twisting a situation to make it look like you are the victim, or to turn favor away from someone else. Is it fair to all concerned? The ideal is that if you complain, it's of little or no inconvenience to other people. In my math class the other day, my teacher gave us an assignment, and it was due about a week later, but when we came back to class that day that was due, very few of us had it done. And there's one kid who didn't have it done, and he was telling everyone who did it, don't bring it up. Maybe he'll forget and we'll get in trouble. But the problem was that my teacher had to go to Kenyon later and bring that assignment and let the Kenyon teachers grade it to make sure he was grading accurately and he really was teaching us, because I'm getting Kenyon credit for that class. So it wasn't just affecting him. And then like when you go back to the cold room example, maybe you're the only one who's cold. So if you try to change that, then that's inconveniencing everyone else for your benefit. And sometimes complaining can make a difficult situation more difficult. I'm sure you've all been to a restaurant when it was very crowded and busy and it took a while to get service. That's probably not the right time to complain that your hot fudge on your milkshake is melting your milkshake and you need another one. And that's happened to one of my friends before. Also, you need to remember to complain to the right person. I have a cousin who works in customer service, like on the phone. When you call, that's you getting my cousin. And she's been so abused by these callers who blame her for the company's issues. And she has no power to change it. So she's really not the right one to be angry with. Also, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Aggressive complaining will not. It will make people defensive, and then you won't even get the change you wanted done. But immoral behaviors can actually be changed. My sister, she's 2 years older than me, and a lot of her friends they swore a lot at school. I mean, it's high school, lots of people do that. But she told them that it bothered her, and they tried to cut down for her. And you would think that maybe they wouldn't want to be friends with her because she didn't approve of their swearing, but it actually improved their friendship, and they respected her more because of it. Dr. Robert Bolton, who wrote the book People Skills, he says that being submissive all the time can make relationships worse, because when you always give the other person their way, then they start to feel guilty about that. And that guilt can turn into pity, and that pity into irritation, and that irritation into disgust. Plus, your own built-up anger poisons that relationship. Without the involvement of both people, it's not a relationship. So you need to put in your input sometimes, even if it's not always the most popular. You need to have your opinion heard. Is it beneficial to all concerned? If you're going to complain, you should have a solution in mind, which improves the situation for everyone, and that often involves a compromise. And that means that this situation needs to be solvable. That goes back to our whole example with the weather. No one can fix the weather for you, so you might as well not complain about it, right? But like we talked about before, it can help relationships too if you do just speak up. In conclusion, complaining can be good if it's the truth and not exaggerated. If it's fair and not inconsiderate to other people. If it spreads goodwill and friendship by being polite. And it can be beneficial to all people if it helps solve problems. Complaining isn't childish or evil as is often supposed. And people are often willing to accommodate you if you only ask